देखिए, हम लोगों ने ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस कर लिए थे, जो अपना मॉक टेस्ट पेपर चैप्टर 18 to 33 है। अब हम लोग क्या है, सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस विल बी डिस्कस बाय अस नाउ। क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 फर्स्ट इज अमर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड बैंगलोर is engaged in IT enabled services. Amar Private Limited IT enabled services में engaged है. Its subsidiary ABC INC is in US. तो ABC INC US में है, जो कि अमर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड की सब्सिडरी है। यानी ये आपस में क्या है, एसोसिएटेड एंटरप्राइज है। ये आपस में एसोसिएटेड एंटरप्राइज है। अमर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड also provide similar services to SEC Limited. SEC Limited क्या है? अनरिलेटेड पार्टी है। बिलिंग्स की इंफॉर्मेशन दे रखी है, एबीसी आईएनसी की बिलिंग है और SEC की बिलिंग है। एबीसी आईएनसी has provided a loan of $1 lakh to Amar Private Limited towards purchase of hardware for execution of its project. Rate of interest charged by SBI चार्ज फॉर सच लोन इज 3% पर एनम। यानी एबीसी आईएनसी ने अमर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड को $1 लाख का लोन दिया है, जिसपे 3% की रेट से पर एनम की रेट से इंटरेस्ट चार्ज किया गया है। डायरेक्ट एंड इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट इनकर्ड इज 100 and 200 per hour respectively. Amar Private Limited works 9 hours per day for 15 days to execute projects for SEC and 8 hours per day for 15 days to execute project for ABC, and for SEC it is 8 hours per day for 15 days to execute the project for SEC. तो अपन तो SEC की बात करें पहले, क्योंकि अनकंट्रोल ट्रांजैक्शन देखना है अपने को। तो अब देखिए यहाँ पे क्या डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट हो गई। जो SEC की बात करते हैं, SEC के लिए कॉस्ट, डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट कितनी आ रही है इसकी? $100 पर आवर। तो 9 आवर्स हैं, SEC के लिए 8 आवर्स हैं, 15 डेज है। और ये तो डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट आ गई, और इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट है $200। इस तरह से आपने डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट निकाल ली। तो डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट आ गई आपके $12,000, इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट आ गई है। अब बिलिंग किस रेट से की गई है? 70,000 के हिसाब से बिलिंग की है। और यहाँ पे ये कह रहे हैं कि हमारे जो वारंटी के एक्सपेंसेस भी हमको बियर करने हैं। वारंटी कॉस्ट प्रोवाइडेड to SEC is for 2 years and cost of warranty is 1% of the direct cost. यानी वारंटी कॉस्ट भी है, डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट अपनी आई है 12,000 की, इसकी 1% क्या है? वारंटी कॉस्ट। एक तरह से कॉस्ट ऑफ वारंटी इज नाइदर इंक्लूडेड इन डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट नॉर इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट। एक तरह से अपनी कॉस्ट कितनी हो गई, ये देखिए कॉस्ट हमारी कितनी हो गई। दिस मच कॉस्ट हैज बीन इनकर्ड 36,000 प्लस वारंटी कॉस्ट आ गई 120, यानी 36,120 आपकी ये कॉस्ट आ गई। आपने बिलिंग कितने की है? 70,000 की बिलिंग की है। तो मार्जिन कितना आ गया? 36,120 और 70,000 माइनस 36,120, तो ये मार्जिन आ गया। यानी मार्जिन इज हाउ मच? 70,000 माइनस 36,120, 33,880 आपका मार्जिन है। तो परसेंटेज, ऑपरेटिंग परसेंटेज मार्जिन जो आ रहा है एज पर कॉस्ट, देख लीजिए कितना आ रहा है। 33,880 डिवाइडेड बाय 36,120% आता है आपका 93.7984%। यानी 93.80% ये आ रहा है। अब उधर हमारी कितनी कॉस्ट इनकर हो रही है वो देख लीजिए। इस केस में कितनी कॉस्ट इनकर हो रही है, 9 घंटे 9 आवर्स और 15 दिन। तो डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट हो गई 100 × 9 × 15, इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट हो गई 200 × 9 × 15। तो ये आ गई डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट और ये हो गई इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट। सो 13,500 और 27,000, कॉस्ट आ गई हमारी कितनी, 13,500 प्लस 27,000, ये आपकी कॉस्ट आ गई 40,000 और 500। उसके अलावा इंटरेस्ट का इंटरेस्ट भी इनकर किया है आपने, तो ये आ गया देखिए 40,500 और इंटरेस्ट कितना इनकर किया है अपन ने, ये 1 लाख US डॉलर्स का है एंड रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट चार्जेस 3% पर एनम। ठीक है, 1 लाख डॉलर्स का है, रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट 3% है पर एनम की। तो हेयर 1 महीने की क्या आ जाएगी आपकी जो इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट है, दैट वर्क्स आउट टू बी हाउ मच, ये 3,000 डिवाइडेड बाय 12, 250 इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट आ गई। कॉस्ट हो जाएगी आपकी 4750। इस पे मार्जिन जो अपना अप्लाई कर दीजिए, एडजस्टेड मार्जिन कितना आया था आपका 93.8%। इतना तो अर्न करना ही है अपने को, 40750 × 93.80% प्लस। बिलिंग होनी चाहिए आपकी 78974 के आसपास, 973.5 ये बिलिंग होनी चाहिए। एक्चुअल बिल्ड क्या है, ये आर्म्स लेंथ प्राइस है और एक्चुअल बिल्ड कितना है 85,000। तो कोई दिक्कत वाली बात ही नहीं, तो हमने ज़्यादा बिलिंग की है तो कोई एडजस्टमेंट करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है। जो अमाउंट आपका है 85,000 बेसिकली उसी के हिसाब से आपकी इनकम रहेगी। तो फंडामेंटली एक क्वेश्चन था ये 6 मार्क्स का जो हमने डिस्कस किया, दिस वाज रिलेटिंग टू ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग प्रोविजंस। ये ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग प्रोविजन से रिलेटेड 6 नंबर का क्वेश्चन अभी अपन ने ये डिस्कस किया। अब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखिए, नंदिता एन इंडिविजुअल रेजिडेंट रिटायर्ड एम्प्लॉय ऑफ प्रसार भारती एज 60 ईयर्स। तो नंदिता देखिए रेजिडेंट है, 60 ईयर्स की है, तो ये ध्यान रखिएगा ये सीनियर सिटीजन है। अ वेल नोन ड्रामेटिस्ट डिराइविंग इनकम 5-10 फ्रॉम थिएट्रिकल वर्क्स अब्रॉड। TDS 51,000 का हुआ है विदेश में। इंडिया डज नॉट हैव एनी DTA अंडर सेक्शन 90 ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट विद दैट कंट्री। इंडियन इनकम आ रही है उसकी 10-10 की और उसने 1,20,000 PPF में दिया है विच विल क्वालिफाई फॉर डिडक्शन अंडर 80C, और अप्रूव्ड पेंशन फंड ऑफ LIC में 32,000 दिया है, वो 80CCC में आ जाएगा। 1,20 तो ये हो गया, 32 ये हो गया, कुल मिला के ये कितना हो गया, ये हो गया कुल मिला के 152, और डिडक्शन रेस्ट्रिक्ट हो जाएगा 80CCD के हिसाब से, 80CCE के हिसाब से रिडक्शन रेस्ट्रिक्ट हो जाएगा कितना, 150 तक। फिर देखिए उसने 18,000 सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हेल्थ स्कीम में दिए, और मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम दिया है फादर के रिलेशन में, 51,000 फादर के रिलेशन में दिया है जो कि नॉन रेजिडेंट है, एज 76 ईयर्स। ये एज 76 ईयर्स है पर NR है, तो सीनियर सिटीजन नहीं हुए, क्योंकि सीनियर सिटीजन के लिए क्या होना जरूरी होता है, रेजिडेंट होना जरूरी होता है। सीनियर सिटीजन के लिए क्या है, रेजिडेंट होना जरूरी होता है। सीनियर सिटीजन नहीं है तो डिडक्शन 25,000 तक की मिल पाएगा 80D में, फादर के रिलेशन में, और खुद के रिलेशन में 18,000 80D में मिलेगा ही मिलेगा। ठीक है, अब ये पूछ रहे हैं टैक्स लायबिलिटी निकालिए, तो देखिए 10-10 तो उसकी इंडियन इनकम हो गई, 5-10 ये हो गई फॉरेन इनकम, डिडक्शन एक अपन ने 80C में CCC कुल मिला के 1,50,000 ये मिल गया, 18,000 खुद का CGHS में मिल गया, 80D फादर का मिल गया, 193 डिडक्शन हो गए, ये टोटल इनकम आ गई। फिर अपने को टैक्स लायबिलिटी निकालनी है, ध्यान रखिएगा। पहले 3 लाख पे यहाँ नील रहेगा क्योंकि सीनियर सिटीजन है। नेक्स्ट 2 लाख रुपए का क्या है, 5% यानी 10,000 रहेगा। फिर नेक्स्ट 5 लाख का 20% ये निकलेगा और बैलेंस है 3,27,000। टोटल इनकम 1327 है, उसका 30%। फिर टैक्स निकल गया 2,08,100। उसमें HEC जोड़ लिया अपन ने, ये टैक्स लायबिलिटी आ रही है। अब एक तो फॉरेन रेट ऑफ टैक्स है 51,000। डबली टैक्स इनकम कितनी हो गई, ये पूरी डबली टैक्स इनकम है क्योंकि कोई डिडक्शन तो मिला ही नहीं इस इनकम में से। फॉरेन रेट ऑफ टैक्स तो वर्कआउट होके आ गई कितनी, 5,10,000 रुपए की ग्रॉस इनकम है तो फॉरेन रेट ऑफ टैक्स 10% है। डबली टैक्स इनकम 5,10,000 है। और इंडियन टैक्सेशन रेट कितनी आ रही है देखिए, 216,424 216,424 डिवाइडेड बाय 1520 इंटू %। इस तरह से करके ये इनकम टैक्स की रेट वर्कआउट होके आती है कितनी, 216,424 डिवाइडेड बाय 15,20,000। इंडियन रेट ऑफ टैक्स वर्क्स आउट टू बी डिवाइड बाय 13,27,000। 1327, 14-20 नहीं, 1327। 1327 TI है। तो ये 216,424 डिवाइडेड बाय 13,27,000 16.309% आती है। और फॉरेन रेट ऑफ टैक्स 10% है, तो लोअर का डिडक्शन मिलेगा आपको, रिलीफ मिलेगी 5-10 इंटू 10% यानी 51,000 की रिलीफ मिल जाएगी और बैलेंस आपका क्या है, टैक्स पेबल वर्कआउट होकर आएगा। तो ये 91 के रिलेशन में अपन ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था 6 मार्क्स का, जो कि डबल टैक्सेशन रिलीफ से डील कर रहा है। इट इज डीलिंग विद व्हाट द प्रोविजंस रिलेटिंग टू डबल टैक्सेशन रिलीफ। Now, the next question is, Singtel Limited is a company incorporated in Singapore and 55% of its shares are held by Godavari Private Limited, an Indian company. Now here Singtel Limited is a company which is incorporated where? In Singapore. 55% of the share capitals of its shares are held by Godavari Private Limited, an Indian company. Singtel has presence in India also. The details relating to what? Singtel Limited for previous year 1920 are as under. Now, fixed assets at depreciated value for tax purposes. In India it is 120, in Singapore it is 80. Intangible assets here, they are 50 here and 200 crores outside India. Other assets as per books of accounts 40 and 120. Then income from trading operations. Income from transactions where purchases are from associated enterprises. Income from transactions where sales are to associated enterprise. This will be not forming the part of the passive income, it will be regarded as active income. Income from transactions where purchases and sales are from and to associated enterprise. So this will be forming the part of what? Passive income. This is a passive income. Interest and dividends from investments, that is also passive income. And number of employees that has been provided, and payroll expenses have also been provided. Determine the residential status of Singtel if during the 1920 7 board meetings were held, 3 were held in India, 4 were held in Singapore. Now basically we have to determine the residential status of the foreign company. And foreign company is said to be resident in India if its place of effective management during the previous year, the same is in India. Now basically, how you will be determining the place of effective management? That is to be seen whether the company is engaged in active business in India or not. In case the company is engaged in active business outside India, when a company is said to have been engaged in active business outside India, if the passive income is not more than 50% of the total income. One is the passive income. Other is what? Less than 50% of the total assets, they are situated in India. Less than 50% of the total number of employees, they must be what? Situated in India. And whatever payroll expenditures is there, less than 50% of the total payroll expenditure must be in India. In this particular case, when these criteria, these 4 criteria are satisfied, then in that particular circumstance, the company is said to be engaged in what? Active business outside India. If all these 4 conditions are satisfied. Now we see what is their passive income. Now the passive income is 5 plus 10 plus 20 plus 10. That is, the passive income is 15 plus 40. That is, 30, 15 plus 30. 45 is the passive income. And what is the total income? Look, total income. 25 plus 50 plus 20 plus 10. 105 is the total income. So passive income works out to be 45 divided by 105%, that is 42.857%. Now here, see, the total income is 25 plus 50 plus 20, but it is 10 crores, not 15 crores. In question, it is 10 crores only. So it works out to be 105 crores. And passive income is when purchases and sales both are made to associated enterprise. That is here 5 plus 10. And besides dividend, royalty, capital gains and rental income, that is in this case it is 20 plus 10. So 20 plus 10 and 5 plus 10. 5 plus 10 is 15 and 20 plus 10, it is 10. So it works out to be what? 30. So total amount works out to be 45 crores. So basically it is 45 divided by 105. 42.857%. The first condition is satisfied. The second condition is what? The total number of assets which are situated in India. It must be 50%, less than 50% of the total assets. So here, assets situated in India. Assets situated in India works out to be 120, 50 and 40. So here, that is 210 crores. What are the total assets situated in? Total assets are what? 300, 250 and 160. 710 crores. The 200, 250 and 160. It is 610 crores. So it is 610 crores. Percentage works out to be here 34.43%. Second condition is also satisfied. Then total number of the employees, 70 divided by 160. 70 divided by 160 is number of employees which are what? Situated in India. So less than 50%. And payroll expenditure, 8 divided by 20%. So here, less than 50% of the total payroll expenditure. So in respect of such employees. Therefore, all the conditions are satisfied in our case. All the conditions, basically they are satisfied. Therefore, the company is said to be engaged in active business outside India. Majority of the board meetings are also held outside India. Majority of board meetings are held outside India. Hence, the company will be regarded as what? Non-resident. So Singtel Limited would be non-resident for financial year 1920. So basically the allocation is here. Half of marks have been allocated for all the criteria and your reasoning. Then board meeting also, and 1 marks was there for this particularly the conditions you are writing. Therefore, it was a 6 marks question. Next question is J filed a return of income for AY 15-16 in due time, disclosing total income of 4 lakhs. The taxes due on the income were covered by the TDS, advance tax and self-assessment tax. The return was taken for scrutiny by the AO. AO then subsequently has taken the return for scrutiny, who made large additions of income disclosed by J. On appeal to High Court, set aside the order of the assessment and directed fresh assessment to be made after hearing the parties. The court order had become final since neither the party had performed appeal against it. The assessing officer did not make fresh assessment. Now, High Court has set aside the order and directed fresh assessment to be made after hearing the parties. They have directed this way. The AO did not make fresh assessment, with the result that assessment barred by time. So AO did not adhere to the order and has not made fresh assessment. J filed a petition that since no assessment had been made by the AO, the entire taxes paid, including the pre-assessment payments, must be refunded. Is he justified in his claim? Well, basically, any amount if assessment has been annulled, if assessment is annulled and no fresh assessment is made, then what happens is assessee will be entitled to claim refund of tax paid in excess of returned income. Tax paid in excess of what? Tax on returned income. Now here, if any excess tax has been paid as disclosed in the return of income, whatever income has been disclosed in the return, that can be refunded. But returned income, whatever income has been returned, shown in the return, tax paid thereon will not be refunded. That has been decided by in Shelley Products case also. And it is in law also. If the assessment has been annulled and no fresh assessment has been directed, then assessee will not be entitled for any further refund. So here, this was of 3 marks. Next is examine and state the correctness or otherwise of each of the following statements in context of the provisions under Income Tax Act, and answers by giving brief reasons contained therein. Now, tax avoidance is not defined in the statute. Its statement is correct. It is the outcome of the actions taken by assessee, none of which or combination of which is illegal or forbidden by law as such. The internal literature tends to describe tax avoidance in many ways. If you state briefly the ways of tax avoidance. Yes, the statement basically is correct here. Then there can be what? Different ways of tax avoidance. So whatever are the legal loopholes in the act. So tax avoidance involves what? Legal exploitation of the tax laws to one's own advantage. And we are taking the benefits of the loopholes there. Every attempt by legal means to prevent or reduce the tax liability, which would otherwise be incurred by taking advantage of some of the provisions or lack of the provisions of the law. And an arrangement is entered into solely or primarily for the purpose of obtaining the tax advantage. Basically, that is coming under the ambit of what? Tax avoidance. So taxpayers considered it as a legitimate right to arrange their affairs in a manner as to pay what? The least tax possible. Then next question is here. The next question is, Rose and LLP of UK carries on business in India, against which demand of 50 lakhs for AY 18-19 is outstanding. The LLP does not have any assets in India and has closed the business. The tax recovery officer cannot recover such demand by attachment of the assets of Rose LLP. So here, how the assessing officer will recover the same? If we have an agreement, the CBDT will tell the board there, foreign board, to recover the tax from outside India, and then the same will be sent to India. So where the assessee is in default basically, or is deemed to be in default in making the payment of tax, in such case the TRO may, in case the assessee has a property outside India, where we have double taxation avoidance agreement, where we have what? These agreements for recovery of taxes. In that particular case, will forward the certificate to CBDT, who will forward the certificate to that foreign board, and that foreign board will what? Recover the same from the assets outside India and remit the amount in India. So since India has an agreement with UK, the tax recovery officer cannot recover the such demand by attachment of the assets of Rose LLP located in UK, but the same will forward a certificate to CBDT, and from that certificate recovery will be made. The next question is, an assessee who is what? Aggrieved by the following orders is desirous to know the remedial course and the time limit against which each order under Income Tax Act. He has passed an order under 153A, that is assessment order, except an order in pursuance of directions of DRP. If it is DRP, the appeal lies to ITAT. So here the order has been passed by AO. So appeal will lie to CIT appeals, and the time limit is what? We have to file the appeal to CIT appeals within 30 days from the date of service of the notice of demand. Notice of demand. So this was of 1 marks, or you can go and move a petition under section 264 to the revisioner commissioner also within a period of 1 year from the date on which the order is communicated to him, or the date when he otherwise comes to know of it, which I will say earlier. Then the second one is passed under section 263 by CIT. Appeal will lie to whom? The Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Against the order of CIT, the appeal lies to whom? The Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, and the same is to be filed within a period of 60 days from the date when the order is communicated to him. Then passed under section 272A by the principal commissioner. Here also, if a penalty order has been passed under 272A, appeal will lie to the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Time limit will be 60 days. And passed under 254 by ITAT. It's a question of law, substantial question of law is involved. Then we can go to High Court, and the same will be filed within 120 days from the receipt of the order of the tribunal. We can file the appeal. So this was our subjective paper, which was from chapter 18 to chapter 33, covering international taxation, appeals, TDS, TCS, and miscellaneous provisions, penalties, prosecutions. This was the course syllabus, and this portion is very, very important from examination point of view. We have seen the multiple choice questions also, as well as the subjective questions. And whatever questions you have attempted, they are good. And further, you make proper notes also, so that at the time of examination, you can read those summarized notes. On our summary there in compiler also, you can go through that summary also. Compiler is covering all the past exam questions, and 1-2 questions are repeated in exams also. Therefore, though the subject is very lengthy, but for your smart study, understanding the concepts, you can easily score good marks here also. So, best of luck for your next exam, and now you should thoroughly devote yourself, because not more than 1.5 months are left when your examinations are scheduled in November. Do work hard and score very good marks in the exam. Pass the exams by flying colors. So, best of luck for your next exam. Work hard. That's also very, very important exam.